Welcome to the show that takes a look back to help you move forward. It's the Weekly Report. For Randall Riley, I'm Joshua Miller. Let's jump right into this week's report. This week in job board searches and clicks. Truck driver searches were up 5% week over week, 9% month over month, and 8% year over year. On the click side of things, there was a dip of 2% week over week, but gains of 23% month over month and 15% year over year. Searches for last week increased while click activity dipped slightly. Owner-operator was the only segment that had an increase in total clicks week over week with a gain of 5%. Meanwhile, company, team, and inexperienced or trainee driver segments all dropped by around 2 to 3%. This week in freight. Overall load postings for the week held steady. Dry van and refrigerated were both up 10% and 11% respectively, but flatbed was down by 6% week over week. We also saw truck availability dip just a tad by around 1% as the ratio of loads to trucks edged slightly higher. Availability for dry van remained flat while refrigerated declined by 1% and flatbed dropped by 3% week over week. Spot rates were up by 1.5 cents while dry van rates were up by 7.5 cents while refrigerated increased by 16 cents, but flatbed declined by 1 cent week over week. Now for our story of the week. It's been a year and a half since the FMCSA's Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse went into effect. And so far, over 2.1 million users are registered in the clearinghouse. Through 2020, there were just under 56,000 violations. Through April of this year, there were already 20,000. That means that 2021 violations are on pace to top those from last year. And if the current rate of violation continues, we'll be looking at around 60,000 drivers with violations by year's end. So what's this mean? Well, for one thing, it would seem to suggest that the institution of the clearinghouse did not result in a one-time mass exodus for drivers, as some thought or maybe were hoping would be the case. Instead, it looks like the clearinghouse will continue to remove a pretty significant number of CDL holders from the driver pool each year. The FMCSA data shows marijuana is overwhelmingly the most used illegal substance by CDL holders. A little legal note here, while marijuana is legal in some states for recreational use and approved for medical use in other states, on the federal level, marijuana is still classified as a Schedule I drug. Now buckle up. I'm going to start throwing some numbers out there and you're probably going to want to know some of these. As of May 1st, there have been 69,565 drivers with at least one violation. But here's the kicker. Of those nearly 70,000 drivers, only 12,055, or 17% of them, have actually completed the required Return to Duty, or RTD process to remove the prohibited status. 63% of the drivers in violation, around 43,614 drivers, haven't even started the RTD process, and another 9,171, 13% of those, are eligible for RTD testing but have yet to complete the process. So, in summary, drug and alcohol violations are on the rise. Many of the drivers with violations in the prohibited state have yet to even begin the RTD process, and perhaps most concerning, there's a sizable portion, that 13% I mentioned, of drivers who are eligible for the RTD testing, which if completed would remove that prohibited status, who simply haven't completed the process, which could indicate that many CDL holders are leaving driving for other professions even after they start to begin to work through the RTD process. And that's it for this week's report. Don't forget to check out our blog page and YouTube channel where you can find all of our previous reports in addition to some other great driver recruiting content. Come on back and see us next Wednesday morning for another report covering the latest recruiting data and a new story of the week. Until then, have a great week, everybody.